Welcome to Strife's Talking Points. Today, again, still have the headphone on, but today is an interesting day. The stories all cycle around the news trying to turn the Christchurch, massacre into something they can use. They've basically spun the story to use it to attack anyone, even though you can find the manifesto, and it's basically written where it contradicts itself on every order. None of it holds up. I mean, it is literally a deranged lunatic who bought guns illegally and targeted a group and then went and massacred them. Now, what this is, CNN, Tlaib, Trump needs to send a signal to white nationalists. Now, don't know if you know this, it's very hard to understand this from the media's portrayal. Trump is not a white nationalist. White nationalists hate Trump. Why? Trump has a Jewish daughter, a Jewish son-in-law, and a few Jewish grandkids now. He is the epitome of what white nationalists hate. He is someone who has allowed his family to become mixed and openly supports Israel, moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem against all opposition, where it had always been one of those things where they kind of kicked it down to the next president for years and years and years, saying, oh, we'll do it. Trump did it. Trump is extremely at odds with white nationalists. Yes, he supports immigration reform. Yes, he wants to build a wall to keep out illegals. No, he has not said he wishes to cut all immigration into the U.S. Yes, he created the travel ban, which targeted terrorist-prone countries where it's impossible to vet because those states are failing. Yes, those are Muslim countries, and those countries are also extremely violent nations that are failing. Not to do with religion, it's to do with the state of the nation at all. Now, we're going to listen to this wonderful teleprompter reader
was
who gives a lot of
confronted by
emotion in
an
his
NYU
face.
student at a vigil for those killed in New Zealand this weekend over the way that she, Chelsea Clinton, had condemned recent comments from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Now, this is condemnation now. Co-signed as an American, we should expect all elected officials, regardless of party and public figures, not to traffic in anti-Semitism. That's the tweet. Co-signed as an American. We should expect all elected officials, regardless of party and all public figures, not to traffic in anti-Semitism. That's not a very deadly attack. That's not threatening. That's not anything. That is a very simple tweet. We should traffic in anti-Semitism. We should put in their homophobia. You put in there anything. Right there, that last word. That's a very simple tweet. Nothing aggressive. No calls to action. Don't be mean to Israel. Not Israel. Jews. Sorry, I fell for it. I did it myself.
Take a listen to this confrontation.
I don't really get it.
After all that you have done and all this Islamophobia that you have stoked.
Islamophobia that you've stoked. She said nothing about Islamophobia. I don't know how many times we have to go over that. She said don't say hateful tropes about the Jews. That is actually going after what you would consider the white supremacists, not the white supremacists in general, but the neo-Nazis, the people who actually follow Hitler, the ideas, that group. That's who she was going after, not.
I'm so sorry. Well, certainly it was never my intention.
This right here is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you have put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel.
Now, that's the thing. She's trying to empathize, Chelsea, as you can't see her. She's over here. This lady here doesn't believe in empathy. She wants you to know that and feel that, which she's trying to agree with that. However, it doesn't matter to this lady. You cannot empathize. You cannot feel because you are not me. That is where the breakdown of the farthest left has come in. There's no empathy. There's no salvation. There's no nothing. You will always be wrong. Now, I wanted you to notice here, this comes up later. Chelsea Clinton
Feel
is
that deep inside.
very
49
prejudiced.
people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
Now, the snapping of fingers is just the weirdest thing. These people act like they've been at war their whole lives. They act like they're fighting for their lives all the time. The reason that these migrants have moved to the U.S., to the West, to Australia, to New Zealand, to all these places is not Christian oppression or violent European tactics or mass murders by roving bands of neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan people. They're fleeing these countries because the countries are Muslim majorities and they are massacring each other, slaughtering each other based on religious ideas. Shia, Sunni, Kurdish, different nationalities. To them, that's all that matters. Maybe you're a Muslim African and you're too black and they decide to capture you and sell you as a slave. That's going on in Libya. This woman, this NYU student, one of the most privileged person in the world, one of the, by far, is raging because a violent occurrence happened in another country and she blames a pregnant woman.
I don't know if you could hear that.
Now, Tlaib is going to completely ignore everything that happened and she's going to play the victim for another person. Cuomo's just going to let it go because he does not do the news anymore. It's a strictly opinion. He needs to make you feel. He needs to feed that whole fire.
That it's a video that's gone pretty viral.
Yeah,
But
he's
basically,
explaining it.
this NYU student is saying that because Chelsea Clinton confronted Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Omar, in the way she did,
With a tweet, a nonviolent statement, actually a word. If she had written it on a poster board and handed it to her, that would be more aggressive than what she did.
that the massacre is partly her fault. I don't know if you saw it.
Now, the massacre is partly the fault of the person who killed them, partly the fault of the person who got him the guns, partly the fault of anyone who supported that man and got him to where he was. That's the fault. The radicalization movements we see overall, though, come from this mainstream news idea where blame, oppression, victims, all of it. This whole idea that Muslims are escaping oppression from Muslims. They're escaping Muslim nations that are oppressing them and coming to the West. And then they're doing the whole thing of they're building their communities and then trying to take over the way the West works. That is horrifying to people when they're not allowed to speak out against it.
But I'm wondering what your response is.
Well, I know, Congresswoman Omar and myself have gotten so many death threats. I think she is.
Anyone on the internet, Twitter, probably Facebook, any congressperson, anyone like that is getting death threats. The children at the high school, everyone in the high school got death threats because they stood still. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar are massive public figures. Do you think Ilhan Omar got worse death threats when she was in Somalia, a country that is falling apart, where they are massacring people in the streets, kidnappings, ransoms? Was she in more danger there than in the U.S. Senate in Washington, D.C.? The answer? While she was in Somalia.
Probably, really, I actually pray every day for her safety. I can just tell you the kind of public disagreement and the kind of language that sometimes is being used towards disagreeing with her on a number of fronts, foreign policy issues. People need to be very careful. She's become very much a target. And right after not only the West Virginia, poster, putting her face there with the 9/11 towers in the background, this is a woman that is a mother, that is an American,
The woman that
that is serving her country.
Chelsea Clinton is a mother. She has 2 children. She's pregnant, and her getting confronted by off the unhinged activist from New York, from NYU, that is scary. The snapping, the weirdness of it all. That is so weird.
And we need to be very careful when we disagree publicly. When we disagree publicly on various policy agreements, we have to be very careful in the language that we use. And I can tell you, look, I have seen the letters and have seen the various posts from not only from Republicans, but also Democrats.
Now, she's completely given up on pregnant ladies being yelled at publicly at a morning thing to me and Omar have it hard. Ilhan Omar escaped possible death, murder, family being killed in Somalia to come to the U.S. She is using, unfortunately, I agree with the idea that we should ban foreign governments' money in the U.S. lobbying system. I'm 100% behind her on that. Honestly, $530 million used to buy favor in the U.S. in 2018 is too much money. It is not, shouldn't happen, should not be allowed. But here you go, feel sorry for us.
That when we target or disagree, we need to be very careful in that it's not feeding into the Islamophobia.
It's not feeding into the Islamophobia. Her, just took the deaths of people and connected it back to Clinton's tweet about not being anti-Semitic, not being anti-Semitic. Couldn't run it through my head. So now she has basically said, yes, Clinton's tweets were Islamophobic and did help cause this tragedy.
That's growing in our country.
That's the loop. Donald Trump Jr. defended Clinton on Twitter. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's sickening to see people blame Chelsea Clinton for the New Zealand attacks because she spoke out against anti-Semitism. We should all be condemning anti-Semitism and all forms of hate. Chelsea should be praised for speaking up. Anyone who doesn't understand this is part of the problem. That is just crazy that the son of the president is tweeting support for the daughter of the woman his father defeated. The world is upside down. I don't know what to do. Chelsea Clinton is not responsible in any way, shape, or form for the deaths in Christchurch. I'm sorry I said it. It doesn't make any sense to me. The woman who confronted her and then got her story up on BuzzFeed, who did this as a publicity stunt and was very, very well received by BuzzFeed and their op-ed people, is part of the problem. I do believe that the most privileged person, the NYU student confronting a pregnant lady who is also very privileged, is the issue. So I would like to say thank you all. Please comment below, like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think. Have a great day.